For a very long period, my mother was the queen. Although you sort of know this could happen, you hardly give this much thought. Drama is not new for the British royal family, but what just happened has astonished even the most devoted insiders. Whispers of a power maneuver by Princess Anne are becoming loud questions no one saw approaching. People are asking now whether this action marks Camilla's end of influence and the start of something quite different. The royal narrative has shifted permanently with so many eyes on the throne. Was Princess Anne indeed acting in a way that made Queen Camilla cry? Come discover with us how Princess Anne views the crown. Insiders claim that Princess Anne has not only been a servant, but also the one now making the major decisions as she has confronted Buckingham Palace. According to sources, Anne thought Camilla was detrimental during the trying years of Charles and Diana's marriage. Behind closed doors, Anne allegedly never forgot the heartache Diana went through or the way Camilla stayed in the picture while the young princess suffered. This is about all that came before. If the murmurs are accurate, Anne confronted Camilla straightforwardly, stating that her time as queen was ended due to a moral failing Anne could no longer ignore, not because of a press controversy. Would you even blame the princess, though? Camilla was already in Charles's life long before Diana ever came into focus. They initially crossed paths in 1970 at a polo game at Windsor Great Park, and by 1971 they were coursed romantically. But Camilla wed Andrew Parker Bowles in 1973 when Charles was on naval assignment. It did not stop their relationship from developing. Camilla kept in touch with Charles even after she married. This was something few could have predicted would influence the royal family's destiny. By July 1981, Charles married Lady Diana Spencer in a lavish ceremony seen by around 750 million people globally. But under the fairy tale picture, flaws were already starting to show. Diana subsequently said that she found a bracelet Charles had crafted for Camilla just days before the wedding. It bore the pet names Fred and Gladys etched on it. Diana confronted Charles, but the marriage went forward. The affair did not stop there either. Diana herself said in her recorded chats with Andrew Morton that Charles had completely restarted his romantic involvement with Camilla soon after the marriage. She once famously remarked, "It was a little crowded since there were 3 of us married." That captured her great emotional suffering as a wife turned aside. It was more than simply about surreptitious calls or look theft. The affair transpired in actual location, often meeting at her house in Wiltshire or the prince's rural estate, Highgrove. Charles and Camilla would late-night calls were reported, and even servants started noting Camilla's frequency in Charles's everyday life. Their proximity now was not subtle. Anyone who paid attention could clearly see. Things found a public turning point by 1992, with discoveries from Diana herself. Andrew Morton's biography, Diana: Her True Story, clearly depicted the emotional isolation Diana went through. Then came the infamous Camillagate tapes in 1993, when a covertly recorded phone call between Charles and Camilla came to light, exposing their very private and intimate conversations. The contents startled the people and destroyed any illusion of distance still separating them. And Princess Anne, Diana's sister-in-law, was observing too, as all of this was happening front stage. Renowned for her keen moral compass and great sense of obligation, Anne apparently objected to the romance from early on. She seen what it did to Diana and most certainly observed how Camilla stayed in Charles's life even while Diana fought to make the marriage work. On top of that, there is another sometimes disregarded fact. Anne and Andrew Parker Bowles were romantically connected for a period back in the early 1970s, although it didn't result in marriage, primarily because Andrew wasn't thought to be a fit match for a senior royal. The two stayed close. Thus, Camilla's marriage to Andrew added still additional complexity to the background between the two ladies. Still, Camilla's toughest struggle came later when she formally took front stage as Charles's partner. The people was not forgiven. Camilla was considered by many as the reason Diana had suffered following her terrible death in 1997. Years passed with that reputation trailing her. Actually, according to a 2005 YouGov poll, just over 7% of Britons wanted Camilla to ever be queen. Most favored she adopt a smaller title, such as Princess Consort. That response did not come out of nowhere. Many of them who had seen Diana's interviews and heard her suffering blamed Camilla directly. Camilla didn't dismiss the criticism lightly even after marriage to Charles in 2000. She encountered coldness a lot in public events. She was booed in a few places. British tabloids were not nice. Particularly the Mirror and the Daily Mail. aired nasty tales that continued reliving her part in the failed royal marriage. Camilla needed years of deliberate PR, well-selected volunteer work, and strictly regulated public appearances to gradually win approval. That was more tolerance than affection even then. She never received the kind Diana did. A more recent poll still ranked Camilla considerably behind other royals in appeal. Camilla sank lower on the list while Queen Elizabeth, Prince William, and even Princess Anne often placed among the most favored. Public regard was at best meek. Not everyone celebrated either when Queen Elizabeth blessed Camilla to be known as Queen Consort. Many felt the gesture honored Charles's wishes more than those of the people. The disparity is difficult to overlook now when you lay that next to Princess Anne's record. Anne has been non-stop crown servant for more than 50 years. She is well known for her straightforward approach and avoidance of the chase of celebrity. She is actually sometimes said to as the most diligent royal. She conducted almost 200 public events in 2022 alone, more than any other family member including the monarch himself. She has military titles, has represented the UK abroad many times, and kept scandal-free throughout 300 organizations, have her patronage or presidency throughout decades of charitable activity. She also, unlike others, never pursued the limelight. She only completes the task. Anne's name usually surfaces when people discuss reverence for the monarchy. Her position has come from constant dedication, rather than from charm or romance. Now with everything on the line, it's difficult not to understand why many consider her to be a more consistent figure. But as we will show next, particularly considering the line of succession for the British monarchy, this seems surprising. The line of succession. Princess Anne is presently 8th in line to the throne, according to the usual royal order. That is not precisely toward the top. Looking at the whole picture, though, makes things more logical. Bloodline validity, and since the 2013 Succession to the Crown Act, gender no longer takes front stage in deciding the line of succession. This only holds true, though, for children born after October 20. Therefore, Princess Anne, who was born in 1950, is not covered by this statute even if Princess Charlotte is ahead of Prince Louis. Anne is so behind all of her younger brothers and their offspring, even though she is King Charles's only sister and second eldest child of Queen Elizabeth II. Right now, Prince William, King Charles's eldest son, starts the line. William's 3 children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, comes next. Then it passes to Prince Harry, then his kids, Archie and Lilibet. Following them is the line through Prince Andrew, Prince Edward, and their respective grandchildren. Anne wound up in 18th place in spite of her years of service and senior royal title. Still, situations change even if someone is far down the list. Although custom defines the royal family, it is not indestructible. Particularly in cases involving public confidence, the monarchy has buckled before. If you know royal stories, you would know King Edward VIII abdicated in 19. He turned aside the kingship to wed American divorcee Wallis Simpson. Although such action shook the nation, it was let to occur and changed the whole line. So crowning King George VI, Elizabeth's father, royal history thus already shows that regulations can be changed as needed. And if you include King Charles's present health issues into the mix, everything seems even more precarious. Early in 2024, Buckingham Palace revealed that King Charles had cancer. Not long after he had a standard operation for an enlarged prostate, the public was informed of this fact. Originally a quite minor medical update, it rapidly turned into something lot more serious. Just a few weeks later, the palace acknowledged that during the operation doctors had found a distinct problem, one that proved to be cancer. Although the palace withheld the precise kind or stage of the disease, it was sufficient to get the king out of most public-oriented responsibility. He started treatment nearly right away, visiting hospitals frequently and receiving what insiders regarded as necessary medical attention and supervision. Royal watchers and medical professionals noted the remarkable speed with which Charles's public calendar was cleared, while the official updates were calm and gently hopeful. Every appearance cancelled, and every conference postponed was evidence of seriousness. Charles made hardly many quick public appearances in the next months. People remarked on his smaller physique and obviously tired eyes every time he did. He was seen welcoming visitors at Windsor Castle in April, and although he waved and grinned, His physical state spoke another tale. Even his typically forceful and powerful voice seemed rather strained. Many who watched the video observed that he moved slowly and seemed weak, unlike the guy who had waited decades to rule. Sources behind closed doors said the treatment had caused problems. Reports of longer recovery times between medical visits and more time spent in solitude at Sandringham and Highgrove. His private home surfaced. He was healing, but healing takes time, and time isn't always something a king has in plan. The fact that Charles had just lately ascended to king further complicates matters. Just a year before his diagnosis became public, May 2023 saw his coronation. Though his rule had just begun, already discussions about who may cover for him should his condition worsen had begun, and that prospect was not implausible. The Regency Act is a formal method used in the British monarchy, wherein a sovereign unable of performing their responsibilities due to illness can be notified. It lets another senior royal take temporary duties without formally assuming throne. Although historically this has only occurred under dire conditions, some started to question whether such a move was not imminent, given Charles's state of health. And here Princess Anne returns once again. The question becomes, who will lead as Charles fights a sickness that could keep him incapacitated for months or even years, not just in name but also in duty. The country waits. The nation wants presence, continuity, and leadership. Some fit Princess Anne in those categories, since she is someone the public has seen serve without question, without drama, and without demanding attention. Her possible ascent is about stability during a period when even the monarchy's future seems dubious. William is the natural next in line, but he might not be ready, or even want to take over just yet, particularly given 3 young children and a wife, Catherine, Princess of Wales, who is also juggling health issues. Apart from that, William has openly said in the past that he prefers a more modern and slimmed-down monarchy. Unless absolutely required, he might not want to take up the position. Then there is Prince Harry, who retired from royal obligations in At least for now, his leaving the family, combined with continuing strife and his relocation to the United States, make his return to royal leadership quite improbable. That begs the issue of who the people believes to be left trustworthy. Over the years, who has shown themselves to be consistent and who has no scandal connected to their name. Princess Anne is much respected by everyone. She has decades of experience, solid understanding of royal responsibilities, and a consistent history of crown allegiance. She has demonstrated no ambition for power, which ironically increases her trust in these kinds of times. And should Charles make an emergency proclamation, particularly considering his health, it may momentarily assign some duties to someone outside the traditional sequence. Although they might not become the new king right away, that person could operate as a sort of regent, or even as a placeholder leader as things settle out. Apart from the issue of birthright, if the British people started to mostly support Anne intervening, pressure on the royal household to make unconventional choices may grow. But if Princess Anne succeeds to be queen, what would it look like? Many believe Princess Anne's rule would be considerably different from what people are used to, especially regarding Camilla and William. If she did become queen, it wouldn't center sparkles or spectacular. It would be about service, fortitude, and finishing genuine job without flaunting it. Princess Anne has never enjoyed attention. She sometimes goes unseen even as a senior royal. She doesn't do things for attention though, which accounts for she performs them since she feels obligation. She has participated in more public events than practically anyone else in the royal family over years. She is always on the road meeting people, helping charities, and representing the crown in locations not usually covered by news. Therefore, many analysts believe that if she were to wear the crown, the monarchy would become more targeted, smaller, and far more linked to current events. It would be about serving others, showing up when it counts, and performing the work with integrity and diligence. She is also renowned for being direct and tough. She would so probably decrease royal staff, cut pointless expenditure, and urge other family members to help her. Some claim she would run things like a disciplined captain, devoid of games and instead focused simply on action. Furthermore, under her rule, the royal family will concentrate more on subjects including healthcare, education,
and helping workers as well as veterans' welfare and philanthropy. Anne has always been linked to these issues, particularly via her military service and long-standing participation with Save the Children. She is not someone that simply waves from balconies. She follows up, takes notes, and listens. Many, especially younger generations who feel cut off from royal customs, think her rule might help restore faith in the monarchy. Leading with humility and diligence will help Anne present the crown with fresh face. Princess Anne has seen the family both at its finest and worst. She understands what goes and what doesn't. Should she be crowned, she would probably pick what really counts above what looks nice. And in a period of quick global change, that type of leadership could be just what the monarchy requires. Built on duty, discipline, and quiet firmness, that form of rule contrasts sharply with how Queen Camilla has been observed over time. Camilla's standing in the royal family has always been complex, and despite recent attempts to change her image, many still perceive her as a regal figure who had to earn her place rather than grow into it organically. Unlike Princess Anne, who was born into royalty and spent decades developing a reputation based on diligence, Camilla entered the royal scene under close examination. The populace never forgot her long and dubious relationship with King Charles. She finally became queen consort, but her road was one of criticism, conflict, and continuous questions about whether she ought to have been titled at all. Camilla has volunteered her time and sought to help Charles with his responsibility. Her early areas of concentration were knowledge of osteoporosis. This was personal since her mother and grandmother passed from the terrible bone disease. It was not simply another public cause. She started speaking at medical gatherings in 2001 after assuming presidency of the Royal Osteoporosis Society, therefore promoting early diagnosis and education. She collaborated with doctors to assist increase awareness, visited hospitals, and attended research briefings. Camilla also developed become a fervent supporter of literacy campaigns, starting the Queen's Reading Room, an initiative meant to inspire people of all ages to fall in love with literature. Her dedication to this cause made her approachable to teachers, parents, and kids both, as it demonstrated that she was attempting to establish a personal connection with them. Then there is her work on domestic abuse. Camilla tackled this quite delicate topic with startling detail. She visited survivors personally, spoke emotionally about the secrecy and guilt around abuse, and closely coordinated groups providing victim refuge and support. She listened to experiences told by survivors, sat with them, and attempted to raise their voice. Nevertheless, despite all of this work, most of the British public's view of Camilla has never really changed. Imagine then all of that being rocked once more. Camilla might find herself pushed even further from the heart of power if Princess Anne steps forward as the one keeping things together while Charles fights illness. She might not be comfortable with that change, not only because of her personal emotions, but also because of what it implies for the legacy she so diligently created. Behind the scenes, some royal observers claim, Camilla may find great suffering from this. She has traversed decades of evaluation. She might now feel as though everything is being taken away just when she thought she had at last been accepted. It would be difficult to swallow losing the public attention to someone like Anne, who is considered as everything the crown should be, particularly if Anne's ascent involves robbing Camilla of her title. Rumored, it could seem like a total turnabout of everything Camilla had secured. And when you've battled that long to be acknowledged, seeing it all fall away, especially in favor of someone who has always been more trusted, may feel less like a change in leadership and more like personal rejection. And you couldn't really fault her for feeling offended when others witnessed that happening. Behind closed doors, behind Buckingham Palace, events also hardly occur without whispers, recommendations, or lingering stares shared. Regarding King Charles's choice to turn royal authority toward his sister, Princess Anne, one may argue that his close circle had very significant impact. Charles has always surrounded himself with a small number of senior courtiers, longtime friends, private secretaries, and reliable advisors. These are the folks who often express the hard facts behind palace walls, who track public opinion, and who grasp the pulse of the institution. Many of those in that circle have over the years appreciated Princess Anne's work ethic, no-nonsense approach, and avoidance of needless personal publicity. Some have probably believed that assigning additional responsibilities to Anne, would help the monarchy to be stable, particularly in a period when public confidence is fragile and the royal family answers more concerns about its relevance. And that returns us once more to Prince William. Everything changes if his father chooses to momentarily ignore the custom for Princess Anne. Still, William also knows Princess Anne really well. He has seen her labor ceaselessly for the crown, usually without press coverage and usually without appreciation. William is unlikely to express anger even if the relocation would hurt. He is known to love her greatly. Above all, he is devoted to the monarchy, to the nation, and most importantly, to his father. He knows the institution cannot afford another controversy or mistake and understands the popular sentiment. At least temporarily, Charles most likely would have agreed to stand behind Anne, even if it means moving to the side. Still, emotionally it cannot be simple. Being told that someone else, however deserving, is in charge, would be a lot for a man who has followed a road defined for him since boyhood. These are the personal challenges the public would never witness. Benevolent grins and official nods aside though, there might be strong feelings at work. This covers acceptance, disappointment, and maybe even fear of what it all implies for the future of the crown. How do you view Princess Anne perhaps assuming a position never expected of her? And will William really be fine with this change? We would enjoy your opinions. Drop your comments in the space provided below. Keep in mind liking, sharing and subscription for further access. Click the video showing on your screen as well. You will find it enjoyable.